One of the most difficult things for me and patients when doing a disability exam is what doctors call getting a history, getting a description of the problems from the patient. The patients often seem to want to tell me what I don't need to know, and I often seem to have difficulty communicating what I do need to know. So I've thought about that a lot, and I've boiled it down to 2 questions that you need to answer at your disability exam if you want to have the best chance of your application being approved. Hello, I'm John Foster. I'm a medical doctor who does Social Security disability exams. I've done over 1,500, and as usual, everything I say reflects my own opinions based on my own experience and study, and not the opinions of the Social Security Administration or any other medical body. Now, what a lot of patients think that I need to know are their diagnoses and their test results. And that's a problem because there are very few diagnoses that tell me that someone either is or is not disabled, paraplegia being complete paralysis of both legs being one, but they're rare. And test results also rarely give me any indication of whether somebody's disabled or not. As I've mentioned before, no doctor can tell if a person has serious back problems or even if they have any back problems whatsoever from a description of the person's MRI of the back. So, another issue is the diagnosis correct? I've seen plenty of patients who've come in and told me a diagnosis, and when I examine them, it's clear that that diagnosis wasn't correct. Same with test results. It's common for test results to be useless or even point doctors in the wrong direction. A very common example is a positive rheumatoid factor, a test for rheumatoid arthritis, in a patient who actually doesn't have rheumatoid arthritis. So, the first very important question after the person's told me their diagnosis or test results is, what is it like for you? What do you experience? Here's an example. Many patients tell me that they have sciatica, and I don't have a clue what they mean by that or how severe it is. I know what doctors mean by sciatica, and often patients who tell me they have sciatica do have what a doctor would call sciatica, but often they have something different, a different sort of problem. So what I really need is for them to explain what that sciatica is like for them. Here's an example of a good description by a patient that I saw recently. They told me that they had low back pain and that the pain spread down the backs of their thighs to just above their knees, and that it was made worse by bending and prolonged standing. Now, that isn't what a doctor would call sciatica, but it's definitely a medical problem that could interfere with working. Another example in case of a psychological illness. A patient told me they had severe anxiety, and I asked what was that like, and they told me that they couldn't stand being in crowds and had a lot of difficulty leaving the home because they'd feel overwhelming anxiety and want to flee. They told me that they were not able to do their grocery shopping, and their daughter had to do it for them because being in a grocery store was just too overwhelming. That's a good description of an anxiety problem. The second very important question that you need to answer is, how do your problems interfere with your ability to work? Just about any medical problem can be mild, medium, or severe, and Social Security usually will only grant disability benefits if the problems interfered with the ability to work to a fairly severe degree. And remember, the abilities Social Security is interested in are the abilities to see, hear, sit, stand, walk, lift, carry, handle objects, speak, travel, understand, remember, concentrate, persist, interact socially, and adapt. Note that about half the abilities are physical and about half are psychological. You must describe how your problems make it hard for you to work, and it's best to be specific as possible. The patient with the sciatica told me that they had trouble with heavy lifting, and that always raises the question, what is heavy for you? Because people have all different abilities to lift. You want to be able to answer, well, I can lift about 15 pounds, maybe 25 if I really press it, but then I'm going to be sore the next day. Then the doctor knows exactly what sort of work-related limitation you have. Likewise, for the person with anxiety, they might say, well, I can go out to my mailbox if there's nobody around, but I can't go shopping and I can't interact with strangers. My anxiety becomes unbearable. So, in summary, the two questions that you must answer about your medical problems that are making you disabled are, number one, what is it like for you? It's best to try to give an example and paint a picture of what sort of difficulty your medical problems cause. And the second important question is, how do your medical problems limit your ability to work? Well, I hope this has been helpful, and as always, remember, if it happens, it's possible, and Merry Christmas.